Josh Hennig here on Sports Bash Saturday here on 97.3 ESPN. UFC 201 is tonight, and it's the Welterweight Championship on the line as Robbie Lawler defends his belt against the man I'm speaking with now, Tyron Woodley. It's on pay-per-view tonight. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing awesome, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. You know, this has been a long time coming for you. You've had a lot of guys that you've beaten already in the UFC in your career, and it just seems like, you know, things didn't always add up the right way, but finally you're getting your title shot. How does it feel?
It feels good to have the opportunity to prove I'm the best in the world.
What does it mean to you to be the best in the world? A lot of guys use that phrase, you know, I'm the champion, I'm the best in the world, but what does that mean to Tyron Woodley?
Well, I think a lot of guys use the title shot phrase. I want a title shot, I want a title shot. That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to prove that you're the best in the world. I mean, me being a champion is not about walking around with a big, hefty 15-pound gold belt. It's about proving this guy's currently known to be the best in the world. When I defeat him, I am now the best welterweight on the planet. That's what my goals are. And I'd never like to say, hey, I want this title shot, because to me, it almost sounds as if you just want to get up there, fight in the title fight, win or lose, you really don't care. Make a couple extra dollars, and then, you know, be okay with that. So I'm not okay with that. I want to go out there and seize the moment. So it's just an accumulation of all my life experiences in sports and adversity put together in this moment to go out there tonight and win the world title.
Tonight is UFC 201, Lawler versus Woodley, tonight on pay-per-view. This fight tonight, because this is a guy who you are familiar with. You guys have been in close quarters, training at times together. So what do you believe are your strengths going into this fight, knowing Lawler like you do?
You know, I just feel like my strengths are the ability to take the fight in so many different directions. I think that's very unpredictable and it's very hard to plan for. And not being able to see me train for the last, 18, 24 months, and also not seeing me in the octagon to grab current footage from just gives me the advantage tonight, and just the ability to go out there and surprise everyone.
You started your career in Strikeforce. You fought in Strikeforce in 2009, and now it's 2016. How have you evolved as a fighter over the years? I mean, you're a guy who's got power, you have wrestling, but as you've progressed, it seems like you've added things to your game as you've gotten older.
Definitely, it's mostly the transitions. Sometimes you have great striking, but then it's a little bit off sync with your takedown attempts. So you see guys punch well, and then they'll dive in on shots without a setup, or you see guys take guys down, and they're not already thinking about passing the guard or locking the person down from the initial scramble. So just in general, I feel like my transitions are gluing together a little bit better. So when I'm striking, it's leading me into a takedown. When I take down, I'm already thinking about my next move, and I'm already ready for the reactions because they're already kind of, a certain amount of reactions a person can do for one position. So I'm just really just piecing the chess match together.
Your professional record is 15-3, and that 3 is a little deceiving because all of your losses have been the guys who have either been champions or who have fought for championships. What does that say about you in the fact that the only guys who have actually gotten an upper hand on you, even if it's for a split second, have been that type of elite fighter?
It just says a lot about my fight selection. A lot of guys are really watching television a lot, and they love to be sound bites and repeat what they hear. I'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. I don't care who my next opponent is. I want to, whatever the UFC wants me to do, I'll do. And they just put themselves at the mercy of some potential poor matchups. Like, I'm not looking for easy fights. As you said, my 3 losses, they were worth the risk. These guys were either champions or former champions or guys who in the future, in the past, fought for a world title, so it made sense for me to take those risks. And, one fight, I came up short. I rested on the cage and got knocked out. But it was worth the risk. I saw myself fight through a war. I see myself get into a battle. And though it didn't work out, that was one of my favorite fights just because I showed myself that I could go in those deep waters if I needed to. And one fight I lost close. Some people thought I won. And one fight I wasn't as focused. So I've had a bit of everything within those 3 fights, and I don't think I need 10, 15, 20 losses to experience every single thing that can go wrong in a fight. So I just learn from my mistakes and I move forward.
You were a two-time All-American wrestler at Mizzou. You also wrestled and worked with aside Ben Askren, who's also a top fighter as well. What did wrestling at the top college level do for you and prepare you for MMA?
It almost brainwashes you, to be honest, man. It turns you into this robot that just constantly raising this bar up. You think that Minnesota or Iowa State, Nebraska, all these different teams, you think that the bar is at this level. Then we raise our bar there. And then if we think, not going into their practice, not having some spies or camera, we feel that these guys are training at this level, and then we try to supersede that level. So just a drilling mentality, the wrestling is such a long season. There's really no off seasons. And we're just used to competing, against the highest level of competition with very few minutes to get the job done. You know what I mean? And so many different intricate parts that move so fast. 7 minutes can be the longest 7 minutes of your life. But, you got to be able to focus on a task at hand. So MMA is very similar to that. 15 to 25 minutes is a longer time, which means you almost have to be more focused.
We're talking with Tyron Woodley, fighting tonight at UFC 201 for the Welterweight Championship on pay-per-view tonight. I want to get outside the octagon for a couple questions and ask you a little bit about you. You were T-boned in the film Straight Outta Compton. What was it like to be part of a film that is depicting such a major part of history in the music industry?
It was great, man. It was an iconic film. I feel like, it deserved an Oscar, in my opinion. There's so many award-winning performances within a fight. It captures you. It made you feel sad. It made you laugh. And also give you an accurate, time, a timestamp of what was going on during that time and just how it changed the music industry. And I'm pretty sure that any recording artist who's independent or, feel as if they were stuck in a rut, they pretty much got inspiration through that movie because these guys pretty much made their future by, just working hard. So it's just good to see those guys, good to see where Ice Cube and Dr. Dre and, I even saw F. Gary Gray the other day on the set of Fast and Furious 8, just to see what these guys have branched out after that. They didn't just go back to their old ways. They found a way to get out and be successful. So I was a part of history in that film, and I was just excited.
You've talked at great length at times about your faith and how important it is to you, but also you've mentioned in the past one of your heroes is your mom. Talk about why your mom is one of your heroes.
Just because of her strength, man. She had 7 kids herself. Had stepbrother, had 3 or 4 stepbrothers that lived with us. Had a cousin and a sister friend that was adopted. So it's like 13 of us in a house. She worked 3 or 4 jobs. She never complained. I was able to go to every wrestling camp, every, seminar, anything that I wanted to do sport-wise, I was able to do that. Sometimes it might have been the money that was allocated for utility bills. The rent might not get paid. So my mom did that stuff for me so that I could be successful in life. She made the ultimate sacrifice for me. So therefore, I think about that when I'm, providing for my kids, and I think about that when I'm leaving and going and training these 4 to 8 to 12 week camps. That I'm away, that I'm making these sacrifices, so down the road, my kids have a better chance than I did, and their kids have a better chance than they will.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you fight tonight. For those who have never seen you fight, tell them why they should go and see UFC 201 tonight. Why should they see the chosen one, Tyron Woodley?
Because I'm the most explosive athlete in the entire division. I'm the fastest welterweight that's ever fought in the UFC. One of the most well-rounded fighters in the UFC, and I'm on a mission. So you don't want to miss tonight, guys. I will be the world champion, and I am the best welterweight in the world.
We've been speaking with Tyron Woodley. He fights Robbie Lawler, the welterweight champion, tonight at UFC 201. Appreciate you joining me ahead of your fight, and good luck.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.